Right. So the opportunity has presented itself to speak with the rugby development coach. He rocked up on the doorstep a couple of days ago. What are you up to? How did you get here?
How did I get it? I don't know.
Start from the womb,
Start from the womb.
or before that. No, that gets a bit disgusting, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
Lots of lifetimes. Lots of lifetimes got me here.
no. What brings you to the north coast of New South Wales?
Well, I'm just starting my trip around Australia, which sort of came about 6 months ago when I was just over the same old routine and I wanted to challenge myself and put myself out there. And I was like, right, I'm going to travel Australia and I'm going to have a bit more freedom. I'm going to set up my business. So I'll be making money on the road and I can still have impact on the road. I can still help out lots of people on the road. And so I've done that and it's slowly growing. And now here I am. I got my troopy. I bought a troop carrier. I set that up in about 2 weeks. It was a real stressful time, but it's thanks to my brother and my mate Adam, who decked it out real quick.
Is that the first house you've owned?
It's definitely the first house I've owned. House on wheels. It's great.
So the first question that came in, because I did put it up, the opportunity for people to ask questions. The first question that came up was, how is your sleep quality in the trooper?
Oh.
That was from your friend Carl.
Oh, yeah, right.
He knows you're a biohacker, and we'll get a little bit more into how we're measuring that. But what are we seeing so far on the sleep quality in there?
So far, off my Oura ring, here's my Oura ring. It's been I've only slept in it 2 nights so far, so we'll see. It's been pretty good so far. Deep sleep has been about an hour and 10, and so is REM sleep. Last night it was an hour and 20, and REM sleep was an hour and 30, which is pretty good for me. So it's on the increase, and my readiness this morning was 90, which is also pretty high for me. While I was working at the gym, it was getting down to the low 70s there, and I was just running on fumes for a little bit there.
Yeah. So for people who aren't familiar with this Oura ring, how does this thing know how ready you are and how well you're sleeping, and is there any validity to the technology? What do you...
From what I know and from what I've used, from what I've read, it's probably one of the best self-quantification things you can get on the market, as it takes your heart rate variability, takes your heart rate, takes your temperature. Obviously, I don't know if it's 100% accurate, but at least I can go back every night and I have something to compare off.
Yep.
Right. So it's given me a baseline, and I know if it's improving or if it's actually getting worse. It might jump around a little bit, it might have glitches, but once you've got that baseline, then I can go from there and I can build a base. Okay, this is working for me, this is not working for me, or maybe I'm training too hard in the gym, my readiness is coming down, my HRV is coming down. HRV being your heart rate variability, which is a good measure of how stressed out the body is. So something I like to use to just see where I'm at.
Yeah. So basic understanding of HRV, from my understanding, is that the heart is not meant to beat like a drum.
Yes,
on the rhythm.
Yeah, no,
it's meant to have a natural. There's meant to be a gap between, like, different gaps between the beats. And
yep.
The more variability there is, it can be an index for aging. It can be an index for stress.
Yep. So
developed in the space age, as far as I'm aware. The Russians were pretty big on it. And
yeah. It's quite interesting, and it's something that you can learn to control.
Yeah.
Which I find is very cool.
Yeah. Have you played around with the heart math?
I've got a heart math. I've got a heart math in the car. Maybe we should try it after.
Yeah. I've been into it for quite a while. I got into it through the Bruce Lipton stuff.
Oh, yeah.
2011 or 12 or something. And it's very, very interesting technology. Basically, that number is telling you that physiologically you're younger, and you can almost manipulate yourself through how you're breathing to be in a physiologically younger state and in a more adaptable state.
Yep.
So if you pile stress on, which training is stress, how much reserve do you have to actually deal with that?
Yeah.
That device is telling you something about that. And it's a 24-hour device, right? But did you take it off the training? You took it off?
Yeah, I took it off the training. This only records your HRV while you're asleep.
Right.
Okay, so this would get my
'Cause
steps
it's
up
too
during
much.
the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so this only does at night. So if I want to do my HRV during the day, I know there's a few wristbands that do it. I'm not sure how accurate they are.
Whoop or something.
Yeah, Whoop is one of them. I don't really worry about it. If I was going to do it, I just get my heart math out, stick it on my ear, and let's see where I'm at.
It's all coming. Hey, like I haven't jumped on I definitely looked at it, but I feel as though it's very soon that it's going to be pretty easy to have all that data, whether it's in, another generation of the iWatch or somehow soon it's all going to come together where all that data is.
I'm sure it'll be something.
It kind of has, but whether this is the exact one or I'm interested to see a few iterations. I've gone down more the line of the Joel Jameson stuff with his Morpheus. I've tried heaps of different systems, but the Morpheus one is quite good for quantifying some getting some in-training data, and then you also get that morning readiness score. So it's probably, I would say, it'd be less reliable and valuable than this in terms of readiness, because it's not monitoring your whole sleep period. It's just giving you a 1.5 minute window, when you wake up. But yeah, he's gone again with some new technology that doesn't require you to have the phone as close and that sort of stuff, which will be better. And that's actually due. So Joel, if you're watching, you should send that out anytime soon.
Sure.
It's meant to come out in May, so I'm not sure if they're going to be delayed on that.
That would be very interesting.
What's the crack? But yeah, it's an interesting space. There is also the other side of the equation of technology just interfering with you just perceiving what's going on and you just making decisions based on
how you feel,
your own body. How do you go with that? Pros and cons. Are you good at listening to yourself, or are you maniacal and you just need some other piece of data to say hey, slow down, crazy man?
Well, in the past I have burnt myself out that many times. It's not funny. And I know when I'm burning out, but I get the feeling I'm I'm burning out. I should hold back. But then I get in the gym. I'm like, no, let's just keep going. Put more weight on. Let's go.
Maybe.
I nearly did it today. I nearly went to that last set. I was like, should I just do 120 in that last set? Front squats. And I was like, I haven't done it for a little bit. Maybe I should just keep to 115.
I was having that same internal dialogue, whack the belt on or do a few deep breaths, pump up a little bit. Maybe I whack an extra 10 kilos on this baby. But I have been working on being a bit calmer. And I think it's we were talking also about the neurotyping, Braverman and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
If you are a bit more of a dopamine type and you're really numbers driven and you really like being alpha, being high achiever, then having something which is
sound like me at all,
external to you, which tells you, hey, dickhead, this is, put the brakes on, pump the brakes here. This is not where we need to be going. That. I think for this type, it can be really reliable, and
definitely
because it's not a human telling you to slow down. You don't have to take anyone else's advice.
Yeah, no,
something objective to say, hey,
that definitely helped me back at home while I was training with my training partner, who was just an absolute weapon of a bloke, and he just always keep going, don't stop. And he has that mentality. I was like, hold on, I scored 68 last night on this. I'm not ready. But for me, since I've had this, I just knew in the back of my mind, okay, maybe I can train. I didn't score as well, but I just need to back off the volume. I just need to do a couple of sets and that's it.
Yeah.
And I found when I did that, results are better.
So it's a good next question. No pain, no gain. Is that the path forward, or where are you at with
depends what the outcome you're trying to get is. So
as a rugby development coach, if you're working with some guys who want to be better athletes, what are the key variables here? How do you know when to stop and when to push? And
it is still for me, that still depends on the outcome. So if it's hypertrophy, then they're gonna be in some pain. They're gonna be hurting.
But the hurt is what you're taxing is slightly different, right?
Yeah, what I'm taxing is the muscular system compared to the nervous system.
So how do you make that distinction?
Well, it depends what phase we're in. So if we're in a hypertrophy phase, if we're after size gains, then we're going to be going into pain thresholds. The sets are going to be lasting longer, the volume's going to be higher. And then if we're going into a strength phase or we're coming into strength phases, then I'm not giving them some. They're not going to be going till failure. They're going to be starting to get less volume and the intensity's going to be picking up. And then we might go into a power phase, which comes into more weightlifting. And again, I'm not looking for failure. I'm looking for execution of the skill.
Yeah.
Which is what I love about weightlifting.
When it's a more of a strength phase.
Strength phase, I'm not trying to burn them out. I'm not trying to kill them. Hypertrophy phase or conditioning phase, yeah, I'm probably going to try and kill them. They're gonna hurt, and we're going to try and make some big adaptations that way compared to our strength phases.
Yeah. But do you see, even with yourself now tracking with this data and that sort of thing, like if it is that higher rep, slower tempo, more muscular burn, muscular fatigue, like do you recover from that more easily by getting to failure or close to failure versus if you max out in that 1 to 3 rep range with a little bit more bar speed? And
I haven't found, so when I've done a hypertrophy phase,
flogged.
Yeah, I find that it doesn't impact my deep sleep as much.
Yeah.
Whereas when I'm training the nervous system, I found it impacts my deep sleep. So I actually find it harder to come back from that, and that's why I need more time in between of the days or whatever it may be. So for me, it doesn't matter as much. I find the body, from my experience, has recovered faster doing higher rep training and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. So now you're on the road.
On the road.
How's training going to be on the road? What's that going to look like for you personally?
It's going to be a mixture. I'm probably going to try and put on some more muscle mass, lean muscle mass, which I'm a bit smaller at the moment, and I would like to put a couple of kilos back on. So it's going to be a few hypertrophy sessions. I'll probably keep them short. At the moment, I'm just going to write myself a program, and I'm probably going to do 2 sessions a day of half-an-hour workouts.
Yep. And
they're going to be higher rep workouts. Yep. My morning one will be a bit lower reps, and then my other one will be a bit higher.
Yep.
That's the way I'm looking at it right now. But I've set up my car, so I've got chin-up bars on the car. You probably won't see this anywhere else. But I've got chin-up bars on the attached to the car, so I get to screw them in. And I can put my rings off that, so I can do ring dips. I can do so many different things off that. I can do all my gar hammer raises, which if I do core, that's what I like to do. I've got a barbell, and I've got all these weight plates. I've got about 100 kilos of weight plates, which you probably won't see from many other travelers carrying that much weight around. But I've got the car to do it, and it was one of the specifications that I needed in my setup. I told my mate Adam, all right, I need to fit a barbell down here. How are we going to do it? He's like, all right, made a little special hole for it. So it's pretty awesome.
It's pretty cool to customize your truck.
Yeah, I've got all my fat grips in there. I brought my weight belt as well for my chin-ups because I love my chin-ups.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of things I can do with a weight belt too. So, it's just that a little bit of extra preparation and it gives me a way too to help more people, to show you, okay, you can do a lot with a little amount of equipment. You can still put on a lot of muscle with just the basics.
Yep.
And I'd love to be able to show people that.
Yep.
And still make it specific for rugby training or whatever training you want to do.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if you got a barbell, you got a place for chin-ups, like you can get a lot done. You can stop on a hill or wherever you want to be, to manipulate your environment that way, like because you're mobile. So some ways you're probably even more flexible. There's different kind of flexibility, at least to being in a gym.
It's going to be weird trying to squat on sand. We'll see how that goes.
But you have that option. You can always go, up to the beach and be on a slab or whatever.
That's right.
Yeah. So, we've got a few things there. Where do you want to, if you have been working towards that goal of the bodyweight chin-up, this is kind of your...
the 80 kilo chin-up.
Big dragon to slay.
That's the big one.
What's most people would kind of think that's impossible. I think that most people going to the gym would think there's no way a human could even do that. How hard do you think it is? How How reachable is it?
Well, when I told my mate Carl this, he pretty much said, "Oh, yeah, I've done it of his own body weight," and I was like, "But you're 68 kilos, it doesn't count." 80 kilos, I haven't seen it be done. I haven't looked up any YouTube videos of it because I don't want to put that in my mind. I just want to visualize me doing it. I've got a visual of me doing it.
I could burst your bubble here if you want. Not with myself, but
you've probably seen it done. Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of people have done it.
You know Marcus Bondi?
Yeah, I've seen him there. Yeah.
So he's done 100 kilos.
Oh yeah, see, that's awesome.
80.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So anyone who thinks it's impossible, like for me, for some people, that's like, oh, frick, there's no point me doing it now because I'm not going to do 100. But the difference between you watching Marcus Bondi do 100 on YouTube and you doing 80 at 80, that's a whole different thing. Right?
Oh, it's a different ballgame.
Versus watching someone on YouTube. It's like, yeah, cool, that's well done to him. But experiencing it and going on the journey to get there, like that's the fun, right? Like,
that is the fun. That is the fun. And you know, the fun days are the days that are awful. And there was one day had been doing 60 easy, and then there was one day and my readiness was awful in my ring, and I was just like, oh, I've got to do 60 today. I'm meant to do 60 today. I'm just going to give it a crack, and I couldn't get near the bar. I couldn't hardly pull myself, and I was just like, oh, how backwards have I gone here? But you know, you come back from that. The next week I came, when I got around to it again, you know, I smashed it. I had a better sleep, and that feeling, all right, I'm going forward again. It's all good. You know, that one step back or two steps back and one step forward, whatever. It doesn't matter. You know, that journey of getting there, when I eventually do get there, it's going to be very, very rewarding for me. I'm excited. I'm excited to show people that journey.
What do you think? Because that's the interesting question, right? Like the day that you actually do that, is that the day that it becomes not that exciting? Like, is it really that? Is it that day, or is it all the struggle that goes into it? Like, is that where the significance comes? Like,
oh, it's definitely a struggle. it's the struggle that, like, yeah, that day is good because, like, you know, you put all the work in to get there, and then you've got it. And for me, it's always like,
how long does that last for you?
I don't know, 30 seconds till I write down the next goal. I know I'm going to do 90. Like, you know,
I don't know. It does stay. It does stay to an extent, but it's also, there is that thing of like, for me, probably the biggest one of those, like the biggest dragon slay thing, was like 100 kilo snatch. And it just seemed like this mythical thing that I would never get to because I couldn't really snatch, and the mobility stuff was a huge challenge. My squat's pretty weak, and I'm not really that fast anyway. It was like, this is like really pushing shit uphill for me
against the brick wall here.
But yeah, like I told myself I wasn't going to go to that Klorkov Poliquin event unless I'd snatched 100 kilos, and so I went at it really hard. And I went at it like Bulgarian style, just failing every day.
Jeez.
Just smashing myself with snatches, and then
seeing how you can die faster.
trying to decrease my life expectancy by a couple of years on my way to a 100 kilo snatch, and then I scaled it back and I tried to hit 80 for 5 in a row, like 5 on the minute, and then I tried to hit 82 for 5 on the minute, and then by the time I got to 87 on the minute for 5, that same day I hit 100. So getting more consistent and just not missing reps and just like trying to keep things under that pain threshold, under that fear threshold, was what kind of pushed me ahead. But then as soon as I hit it, it fell to shit, and I haven't snatched 100 again since then. You know, like but my knees were sore. Like I think I didn't, you know.
So you're broken, but you got
it. Yeah, and that's when it's like also not very like. It's like, get me this out of the way so I can get on with my life, and it stops ruining my life. You know what I mean? So, like sometimes goals. Even hitting your goal is worse than not hitting it because it's like pulling all the other things and energies in different directions. But you've obviously had a bunch of different goals. Tell us about like that time when you were like, it was all about rugby, and you wanted to get to the next level as a rugby player. Like, what was your training like then? What was your mindset like?
It was probably when I was about 20. My training was very much lots of heavy squats, be as big as possible. I was a lot bigger than I am now, a lot bigger. A good 93 kilos and probably a lot more inflamed than I am now. My mindset was do what it takes. Like I would train 6-7 times a week, maybe more, and even during rugby season. It wasn't the smartest of training back then. It was just your heavy squats, heavy bench, single arm rows, and repeat really.
So it worked in terms of getting bigger and getting stronger.
Yeah. I was really strong at those lifts, but I don't think it helped me play rugby any better than I did when I actually played rugby better lighter. I obviously got smarter. I became a smarter rugby player. I started doing more brain development games.
What sort of brain development stuff? Do rugby players need brains?
Of course they need brains. Everyone needs a brain. They've got to be able to see, catch, and see what's in front of them and make complex decisions.
It's a bad stereotype, isn't it? That athletes don't have, like, the athletes are unintelligent. Like, I think the ancient Greek understanding of it, where athletics was at the center of being a good philosopher. Not all rugby players are philosophers, but there's definitely a lot of guys who are very sharp mentally and, quick-witted and that sort of thing. Like,
yeah.
There's a crossover between those things of making quick decisions and having, super skill physically, and also having that mentally as well.
It's just where they put their focus.
Exactly, yeah.
So, their focus is on rugby, so their brain is very tuned into that. But if you train other parts of the brain too, then there's no reason why that part of your rugby game can't get better. So if you work on your creative skills, then there's no reason why that's not going to link over to your creative skills on the field. Or you might just see opportunities in front of you that you might not necessarily see if you don't work on your awareness.
Yep.
That was probably one thing I started to really work on my own self-awareness.
Yep.
How I feel, how I think, what are my thoughts like, what's happening in front of me, what's going on just right there in front of me.
How did that impact your rugby, do you think? Like,
I definitely started to see more opportunities in front of me. I relaxed a bit more. I was always a very frantic player when I was younger. I wanted to be everywhere. Being a 7, I wanted to be tackling that guy, this guy, and trying to steal that ball. And I didn't use what I was good at enough. So one of my best traits was actually running the ball, even though it's a smaller 7. It was less about a crash ball. When I was younger, I wanted to be that big crash ball number 7. I was like, I'm just gonna massive and just become like one of those big crash ball 7s. And I'm like, hold on, I'm never gonna be that big guy. I'm not a big guy. As at 93 kilos, I still wasn't a big guy. Too short to be a big guy.
There's definitely some different bone structures getting around.
In
the world and in the world of rugby. Like,
oh yeah, I'm definitely not Polynesian.
Some of the Polynesian guys were 93 kilos when they were 14.
Yeah, exactly.
Before they'd even looked at a weight.
Exactly. So changing my game from knowing, okay, that's not me. What am I good at? That's when I played my best rugby.
Yeah.
That's when I started to, I got more pilfers because that's what I was good at. I was good at being just an absolute pest, absolute dickhead I am on the field. I like to be a pest. I made better tackles because I could put myself in better positions on the field. And, I hung out, I let myself hang out there a bit more. So I played for Parramatta, right? So we had a lot of lazy players sometimes. So I always felt like I had to do a bit more. I had to be there. I had to be here just in case.
And to cover everybody else.
Just in case. And it happened quite a lot where guys would just let people through and I'd be making a cover tackle. And that used up a lot of energy, wasted energy really, like instead of what I'd be good at, which is using my speed or, trying to get just on the outside of people and I didn't have a sidestep. I had more of a weave. I'd weave in. And when I used that, it worked well.
So now you're working with junior players. athletes, especially rugby development coach being your brand, but you work with a lot of different people over the years.
Yeah.
Like if there's guys tuning in who are playing, guys with ambitions to get to that next level, what would your advice be to them or that to yourself at that 18, 19, 20 before you went into that phase? Like what they need to do? What's a few things that they're probably not doing that will make a big difference?
So big question, because there's so many bases you could ask, and it all depends on the person themselves and their upbringing. Firstly, build a big foundation. I'm big on building a strength foundation, whether it be in the gym or just with your own body weight. It doesn't matter. If you get strong, then everything else becomes easier. So your fitness becomes easier just because, it takes less energy for you to take down someone. So get strong.
That's a big statement in itself and a big thing. I know a lot of strength and conditioning coaches, especially if they got like more of an AFL kind of inclination, it's about running for fitness. And we've had that kind of some Poliquin influenced education where running is almost seen as stupidity, or it's definitely not a running centric approach. Why would strength help people's endurance? Like, can you unpack that a bit more?
Yes. When you get stronger and the muscles got more ability to hold lactic acid, you're going to be able to go further. I've always found myself when I'm stronger, I'm also it's very easy for me to get fit.
Yeah,
it's easy for me to build that aerobic base. I've usually got the aerobic base. It just needs a bit of a tweak.
Yeah,
and I think that tweak should come from doing your skills.
Yeah.
So it should come when you're at training and you're doing your ball skills or you're running through your plays. That's where you're going to get a lot of your running fitness.
Yeah.
And then you're combining your thinking. So where you're passing, so you're combining your brain with the skill as well. So rather than just running around and being a rag doll, which I have done many, many sessions like that where we have run 1.2s, we've run 200s, and I get to the first game, and I'm stuffed anyway. I'm like, I don't feel fit.
Yeah. How much better can your rugby fitness get running multiple 1.2s? Like it's an old school thing, and I think some of those teams, like it's kind of been in rugby league, it's been the Wayne Bennett, potentially Craig Bellamy. Like I don't know exactly what they're all doing now, but I know that that's been kind of their foundation is like do that long running in the preseason, where teams that I've worked with have done basically next to none of that or none of that, and we had some good results as well. Like without sort of talking too much at the current regime, I'm not there all the time. I don't know everything that's going on there, but we definitely, I would suspect that we're the team that did the least long running. And then, when it comes to game time, like I just don't think there's room for it. Like if you've only got so much training capacity,
that's right.
If you can be doing more work on the stuff that really matters, which is executing your plays, contact, agility, like doing your skill work.
The skill of a tackle is so big, but people don't realize, because if you're very efficient at taking someone down, just imagine how less tired you'll be, because that actually takes a lot of your energy to actually just putting someone on the ground consistently. So if you're really efficient at that, then you're not going to use anywhere near as much petrol. Yeah.
And you're going to have, like, you get better at the skill of it, but you also build endurance to it by doing a bunch of it. Like it's very much, fatigue is very much, like I really buy into the Noakes kind of central governor concept of like, it's about your brain being okay with the task. And if your brain starts saying like, no, this is too hard, and it's going to say that earlier with things that it's not familiar with. If it's familiar with it and you've done it over and over again, then the brain's like, yeah, sweet, like let's keep going. We know this. We're in familiar territory here. Where if your pre-season's running and then you go wrestle and like you do the game and it's completely different to what you've just been doing, well, the central governor's like, this stuff's freaking us out. Like,
well, then you're adding a ball in as well. So you got your brain's working. Your brain takes up so much of your energy. I think it's like 25% of your energy. And then you got to think, all right, this guy's got the ball. He's going to pass it. You know, where am I going? So you're actually doing more than you think than just running.
Yeah, you want to practice
you're processing. Exactly. So you want to be able to practice, obviously, your defensive shapes, and just getting comfortable with the person next to you, because you're not always next to the same person, but a lot of the time, you'll find yourself
combinations and stuff. Massive.
Yeah, you want to build that. That's where I would go with my conditioning with my players.
What's strong to you if you're working with a young guy? Like, give us an example of, you know, this guy's good in the gym. Like, he's got a good foundation in the gym to be, you know, be an athlete.
Front squat's a big one for me. So I always look at the front squat, and if they can't front squat, I get them to be able to front squat.
Wow.
Because it just takes up most of your muscles, really. Obviously, take out a lot of upper body, but your lats, your core, all your legs. You know, it's by far one of the hardest exercises and grueling exercises you'll do.
We did them this morning.
It was good fun.
Yeah.
After not doing them for a while, it was good fun.
You did well.
Yeah.
So that front squat, you feel like
that's a good measure for me.
If someone's nailing those front squats and they're holding, like, one's load and two's quality, right? Like,
yeah. They've got to go together. It's got to be a quality. It's got to be a quality front squat.
Yeah.
If I see they're dipping down too much to the chest, I'm no repping them. If they're dropping the weight, or I'm calling it like done. So
dropping as in, like, not controlling the lowering phase, the eccentric, or dropping
through the chest,
dropping forward,
dropping through the chest.
Gotcha.
So depending on what we're after.
Do you often use those pauses? We did pauses this morning.
I love, so the start of my programs will be a longer pause. And then as you go through the weeks, I actually take out the pauses. But yeah, definitely for rugby players, creating that inertia and creating that ability to create force from a stop-start I think is really, really crucial. I don't know, I'd like to see more people do it, and especially in the bench press, if they're going to do any pushing, pulling, they should start having a bit more pause and then explode.
Yeah. So you really like that thing of being able to overcome. Overcome.
Well, that to me is rugby. That to me is a big part of rugby, is being able to overcome someone else's body weight, whether it be you're running the ball, you're getting hit, you've got to overcome them, or you're tackling, you're overcoming their weight and then putting them down.
So everyone that's listening in, the young dudes, they're thinking front squats. What's a nice weight? What do you want to see on the bar?
Depends on their body weight. Two times their body weight, that would be awesome. It's not easy to get to.
Yeah.
But anything in that 1.5 times body weight is getting pretty good there.
Yeah, I think there's things right with numbers. Hey, like, because we're gym guys, you think, yeah, gym, you know, big numbers, good. If the guy's a good athlete and a good, you know, then if you can get them to that 1.5, but they're already pretty well put together, they got skills, etc. Then that 1.5 is like, yeah, they're like, this guy's ready to go. Like, this is a solid athlete, right? Like, that's kind of a nice number to see people at. And obviously, the bigger they are, the harder that 1.5 times body weight is.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if they're 100 kilos, then they're going to be. It's going to be a big front squat.
It's different, than being the 80 kilo guy hitting 120. Like, so what? With that, you know, like, have you seen many guys get to that double body weight, or is that like a bit of a pipe dream target for guys to shoot for?
It's a pipe dream for me, and everyone, but it's something that they can work towards for sure, especially over your career. Yeah, you know, and if you get to it, then if you can maintain it, great. And that means that maintenance might be like, you know, once every couple of weeks. Yeah.
I think the biggest I've seen is like 1.8. Yeah. Couple guys around that 1.8. But that's, those guys are freak athletes. Like, they're really good on the field and they really hold themselves together. But I don't think you see that kind of correlation to, say, a box squat or something like that. You know, guys squatting to a bench, to a, you know, like a half squat type thing. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be a beast if they can handle even like 2.5, triple the body weight. You know, you can see on a kind of high box squat. In my experience, it's not as much of a guarantee that they're going to be hard to deal with. Yeah,
and I also don't think it's going to there's a time and place for everything. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, and it can be used. I like to put that in my program right before the season for my guys that I program for in the gym.
Yeah.
And they might have 1 or 2 weeks of it.
Yeah.
And that's it. But for majority of the time, I like to use a full range of motion. I like their brains to be able to use all their muscles. I believe that a front squat, a good front squat, a quality front squat is going to dominate a box squat majority of the time.
Yeah. I would agree that there's just so much more skill and so much more, holding the body together, holding positions, creating tension in the body, and that's going to carry over to being an athlete.
Yeah, and the joint itself has to work harder, and you want to build them up as well.
Yeah.
There's way too many knee injuries, ankle injuries, and if you can push the body into those ranges of motion, then you're going to give yourself a better chance. And when you get a contact and you're under load, then you can push those things to greater positions.
Talk to us about GrowFit.
GrowFit. So my brother made GrowFit 10 years ago. It's a preschool business where we go to preschools, obviously. We teach about health and fitness. And it's really about... Whoa, I'm going through the wood here.
It's a bit of...
We've gone through the
wood.
It's
like a Bosu ball training type thing. It's a new technology we're bringing out. There's holes in the deck.
It's all about teaching the next generation and giving them a role model, giving them how can I put it? It's a bit of our own.
Like you're the role model, the trainers.
Yeah, the trainers are the role model. We want to give them the tools to live a healthy life. Our motto is being fit is fun. Because, when you're fit, you can go rock climbing, you can go out for a surf, you can do whatever you want, Fitness doesn't mean just being strong in the gym, that the gym for me is just for athletes. Well, the only people that need the gym for me are athletes and bodybuilders. The rest of society, it's a tool. It's a tool they can use. Everyone else can.
Do they need the gym, or do other people need the gym, or they don't need the gym?
I don't think a general population need the gym. I think it's a great tool that they can use or utilize to get strong and flexible. But you can get strong and flexible anyway.
You can, right? But in terms of what people are actually going to do, what's available to them, like in terms systems, and I would say for the majority of people, if they don't go to the gym, they're probably not getting a significant strength stimulus. Like, yes, they could be going and doing ballet, or they could be going and doing rock climbing and, kite surfing and whatever. They could be doing those things.
They could be doing those things.
They probably need a bunch of weight training,
of course,
to even get themselves going enough to do that if they're highly deconditioned.
Yeah, that's why it's a great tool.
Yeah.
It's a great tool that they can utilize if they need that, which, probably most people do. It doesn't mean necessarily that kids growing up need that, though. And, they could get strong other ways for whatever their lifestyle might be.
Does GrowFit borrow stuff? Like, what style of training is it? Borrow stuff from gymnastics? Are they wrestling each other? Or what's going on in a GrowFit session?
A GrowFit session? How much should I give away?
You've got a lot of,
Well, it depends which class. We've got all different ages. We've got our 1 to 2s, we've got our 2 to 3s, we've got our 3 to 5s.
Yep.
Let's go our 3 to 5s. That's my favorite class. I love my little ones too, but my 3 to 5s are great because they are communicating with me. They are super excited for me to get there. Like, you don't understand, when I get to my preschool, it's not like training adults who are whinging about their everyday life. These kids are like shaking at the railings being like, Patrick's here. And like, it just makes your day. Like, it just instantly, I'm like, yes, my day is like that. How good is that?
Are you like a wiggle? Are you turning up like?
It's a show.
Coloured
I'm not coloured. I've got my GrowFit shirt on.
What colour is GrowFit?
It's green and blue, but it's then the current shirt is black
It's not
and
like a
green,
skivvy.
blue. No, it's not like a skivvy. No,
Black trousers.
we're bringing out Grow Fit Breathe, which I'm super excited for. So like just it's a bit more yoga-ish, a bit more relaxing because
Okay. Doing some yin for the kids.
Some yin for the kids as well. So that's going to be another big part of it. There's also Grow Fit Beats as well. So we're going to be bringing out that. But this is beats like
dance.
Yeah,
like
like music. I'm not sure how that's going to go.
Music.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. That's going to be big as well. I won't be.
Is that why you're getting out of there because?
Yeah, that's why I'm not training because I'm not very musical.
Well, you're gonna have.
I've got my older brother and he's just so musical and he's just so natural to him. But me, it's like a real effort. I got to think about it and like
20 kids in a room playing drums and blowing recorders. It can get like. You know, you've seen here.
Yeah.
We've got a recorder that was pumping on Maya's birthday, and we've got a little djembe drum there, and
it could get pretty hectic.
With 2 kids, it can get reasonably hectic. So, beats could be like
it could go
next level for some of those coaches that you're working with.
Yeah, it really could. I think it'll be.
I'd say such a good thing. Hey, like, and so what we want for kids is. Movement capacity, skills, coordination, cooperation, understanding games,
imagination. So a big part of
being able to chill the fuck out.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Oh, and using the tools. It's really funny. So when I first started GrowFit, we had no music. Now we have all our own adventure songs and things like that. And getting the kids to use their imagination and then put their body movements to that. Is just something else because what they come up with is totally different to what I just know as being real. So like, say you're doing a bear movement and you would just think, getting up on all fours and being a big bear going, rah. But, kids will just do weird things and you're like, where did that come from? Am I just so conditioned to think that's a bear that I can't go outside my scope and think like that?
Yeah.
So, it's just
like trying to be the best bear. Like, wants to be 100% lifelike and it's going to do a bear crawl. And
yeah, exactly. And no, that's wrong.
And the kid just goes wild.
Yeah. Or even like a bird and like the way they see things or come up with things is just really cool to go along with. And it sort of opens up myself too to have a look at my own personal conditioning, and seeing what I think of things. And yeah, so that is a very cool part of GrowFit is actually getting the kids to use their imagination, and then put that into practice and use their body, getting them moving. That's one of the big things is probably happening for a lot of kids is they're not moving enough. They've got the iPad as the babysitter.
Pacifier. Yeah, and it's a challenge we have in our house. Like there's times when my wife is fried and I'm doing other things and it's such an easy thing to do.
It is,
like,
yeah.
But it's also literally like an off switch on the kid's brain. Like they just go into zombie mode and they can't hear anything and they don't want to turn it off. Once it's on, there's like it's very, very high level addiction. Like it's like you're taking away the heroin when you turn the screen off. It's like full junkie mode. Like it's crazy how addicted they are instantly. And maybe we get that with Instagram and that sort of stuff, but it just seems like such an intense addiction. I guess where I was going with that is like if that stuff's good for kids, and most people kind of acknowledge like, oh yeah, kids should do some gymnastics and kids should learn some music and kids should do some dancing and some creative movement. Like I believe like whatever kids should be doing, adults should probably be doing as well, and old people should probably be doing as well. Does any of this stuff still have a place for athletes? Like if in the ideal world, does an athlete have some of this involved in what they do?
Do they have
like GrowFit stuff?
Do they have it? Probably not enough. No, nowhere near enough.
But in Patrick's world, in
my where I want to take my athletes, I want to be able to open them up and see different ways that might open them up to these things, and use different things. So I'm big on trying to get my clients to meditate, whether that be just doing some breathing exercises, whether it be Wim Hof or just doing some nasal breaths and just working on that diaphragm. That's a big one I get people to start on.
Do you get much resistance to bringing that in? If someone's come to you and saying, hey, I want to get jacked, I want to get shredded, or I want to be able to smash blokes on the field,
at first,
breathe through your nose.
Yeah, breathe through your nose. That's one of my big fitness cues too. Is I try and get when we do conditioning drills, I get everyone to shut their mouth and breathe through their nose. My clients absolutely hate that. But
have you done the night mouth taping?
I don't mouth tape because I haven't found tape that works really well, and people seem to be able to cheat always.
I use some. It definitely sometimes it gets a bit wet or whatever and it comes off, but I think it still teaches you to get in the game with that. But yeah, okay. So initially, you generally people are like, "Hey man, get me jacked." Like what the?
If someone comes in and goes, "Get me jacked," then obviously I'm going to go through everything. What are they currently doing to where I see that they can go, with it. But that's a big part of it, because if you can bring down your cortisol levels faster, then you're going to be more insulin sensitive for one, which means you can pump more glycogen straight into the muscles faster. You're going to be leaner, build more lean muscle tissue. Your sleep's going to improve.
Isn't it all just about macros, putting on what muscle weight?
Yeah, just macros. Let's just up the carbs and have an even amount of 200 grams of protein, and you'll be good.
A lot of people, like that's the dominant message at the moment.
I'm sure. Yeah, I know. I've seen it.
Instagram influencers.
I've seen it at my own gym.
Followers.
It'll work for a period. It's what happens after then.
It depends on the underlying environment, right? Like, two people do the same program, they follow the same macros. One guy takes a gram of testosterone, the other guy doesn't. What's going to happen? What's the adaptation to the program going to be? Like, gram a week. What's going to happen? And anyone would go, well, obviously the guy on the gram a test is going to put on more muscle mass.
But you don't know how much free testosterone you had in the first place.
Well, all things being equal, like that's a shitload of anabolic stimulants.
Yeah.
If you the macros are going to have less impact on that. If you take a man and a woman, they're both 20 years old, and you give them the same program and the same relative macros, are you going to expect the same result? Like it's kind of a level of stupidity that's going around at the moment, and like it negates the whole intelligence of the, like, if you want to look after this plant and you want it to flower really well and you want it to have great fruit or whatever, then you're going to look at the soil quality. You're going to look at how much light it's getting. You're going to look at the quality of the water that it's receiving and the amount of rainfall and how much wind, how much movement stimulus there is. And yet we want to take a human and go, oh no, it's only about
noise too.
Calories. It's only about it's only about the calories that the organism is exposed to. Like, you wouldn't be so stupid to think that for a plant. A human's like,
it's very one line of thinking. It's a very straightforward thinking. This is the only way.
If everything's right, if everything's in balance, then it can work. Like, for that fitness model, supplementing hormones or not supplementing hormones, but pretty healthy, pretty lean, been going at it for a long time, that's their story. But is that the average citizen right now? Like, where's the average citizen right now? They're not 100 kilo, like they're not muscle number 105% body fat.
To me, it's how long does that actually last for? You don't know what that person's going through mentally all the time. So like, they might be sticking to those macros, but in their head, it might be like, oh my God, I want to kill myself, which is like sad to hear, but that's the reality. Like, I've seen so many girls do it at our gym and then just totally destroy their hormones and then struggle to come back from it.
Yeah.
So it'll work for a short period for most people.
Yeah. Well, that's if you're talking about crash dieting. Like, it really depends a lot. It can be fine if it's, it depends on what those macros are and what you're making it up with. But like, it's, I know that you're a guy who's looking at the bigger picture. And I think that if you're training a racehorse, you're not just going to go macros. Like,
no, you're going to give it the best damn nutrients it can get.
You're going to want it to be in a nice environment that it can sleep in. You're going to generally inject it with vitamins and all that stuff. Maybe they, but you're going to want to manipulate the environment as much as you can to help that horse win. And then you get an athlete and you're just like, oh, as long as you hit your macros, it's all good. It's like, come on, man. Like,
Yeah,
the vet understands this to a deeper level than
of
the
course.
performance expert. That's why it's cool that you're a young guy and you've got that monitor on your finger that sort of tells you, well, how's your body reacting to this? Have you noticed anything? I know you did carnivore diet. Have you noticed anything with food and Oura?
Yeah, so when I started my carnivore diet, my resting heart rate, sleeping heart rate went skyrocketing up. So I usually sit around 55. It went about 65, which 10 beats is a lot.
Do you think that's a good or a bad thing?
I think it was an adjustment period, which I don't think is a bad thing.
So you feel like it was your body stressed?
It was obviously under stress. It's working harder. So whenever that happens, it means it's working harder. But that's just because it's coming out of what it's used to. And
so did that mean that your readiness score was dropping because of that?
Yeah, readiness score dropped. So that was for the first week. And then after that, it just dropped right back down. And I actually got lower than what I normally would be. So I dropped down to around 52. I had a lot of other stresses. When I was doing carnivore, I had me thinking about, okay, how am I going to get this car?
Huge change.
I was leaving the gym that I'd been at for 9 years. So I had all these other things going on. And whenever I'm looking at my stats for my Oura, I'm also thinking, okay, what other things are going on externally in my life that could be linking to these? And, usually I'm have good intuition where I'll just sit there and like, it'll just come to me. I'll be like, bang, okay, that's probably it. Which I sort of rely on a bit too.
So your intuition was that the life stress and that sort of stuff, all like, what was your intuition at that time?
Intuition was that my body had an adaptation phase to just eating meat, because before that, I wasn't keto. I would never call myself like a keto or paleo or anything like that. I just ate healthy foods, well, deemed healthy. I was just eating lots of butter and lots of vegetables and lots of meat as well. And then I just cut back straight to meat. So it's a lot more protein for my body to digest, for one. And so like that, after that sort of phase, that week, I came back and I felt really good.
Yeah.
I definitely leaned out. I think I dropped maybe 2 kilos. Just eating less stuff. Well, I usually eat some sweet potato or something for dinner to help me sleep.
Yeah.
Help out deep sleep. But after that week period, it really did normalize and probably got a bit better.
Yeah.
And then for me, I always find if I tweak things every month or so, I get a better result. And then if I can go back to something.
Yep.
I've always found that for me. That rather than just staying one thing for a whole period, do something and then change it, come back to it. And I feel like that's what we would have been like. We would have never had one food source.
Yep.
There would have been times where we probably just would have eaten meat. There would have been times where we had vegetables for a short amount of time. So I try and replicate that if I can.
Yep. I think the experimentation is a key thing as well. Like you now have something to base and to have an opinion around, different ways of doing things. You're in a big experimentation phase being on the road right now and putting everything you own into the back of a truck. Like what do you hope to get out of this next year on the road? Who are you going to be?
That's the exciting thing. Who knows? For me, the unknown, like how scary is the unknown? It makes me sort of like jitter just thinking about it. Like,
have you been really like nervous about what it's going to be like?
Nervous and excited.
Yeah. Like
for me, one of my philosophies is always self-growth, and I always keep pushing myself to grow more as a person. And this is probably a big step, is going out and being on my own for a little bit. I think more males should do that. Is to have your own journey where you go off by yourself for a bit.
Yeah.
That I think it will lead into where I probably want to go and how I want to help people, as well as rugby development coach. I think that's where it'll lead me to.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it will, but I think it's where it will.
what do you, if you had to sort of talk about your purpose and the biggest impact that you would like to have or can have during this lifetime, like what do you feel like it might be?
It's a hard question because it's always going to change. I'm always going to be adapting, you know. Who knows how long I'll live? I could live 70 years, 60 years, 50 years, 27 years. I could live 150 years with the way technology is going, or 200 years. So I think it'll keep on adapting. I think right now I have a bit of purpose around, you know, helping out a lot of rugby players, and I really want to help out a lot of rugby players who are young like me and really wanted to push themselves, make it to the next level, and I want to give them the best tools to be able to do that. So training programs, life experiences, whatever tools I can give to them, right? But I think it'll go to a bigger picture where I buy a big property and give people an experience of getting back to nature and actually just being happy with what they've got in their life. I think that will come along and give people the experience, a different experience to what they've been so used to.
Yeah, I love it.
I think that's where it's going.
It'll be interesting to see how this trip impacts that dream and your vision and your confidence to do that. And yeah, big journey ahead. It's pretty cool, and I really look forward to hearing about it along the way. And I hope that there's a bunch of other Real Movement gyms and crew that catch up with you and link up along
every city
along the journey. Yeah, there's a few guys around for sure. So it'll be cool to see that, because I think so many people now do want to be able to just jump out of the rat race for a while and just see what that feels like. And I know that was a huge thing for me. You know, I did it when I was sort of 22, and you're sort of in and out of different things sort of all through my 20s. And I don't think without that experience, I probably wouldn't have even considered leaving the NRL. You know, like I left the NRL to leap into the unknown of whether I could run my own business and live in the country and not have to go to work every day kind of thing. Like, there's a whole new world of possibility that opens up. And I think backpacking or, you know, doing this thing is kind of on the road adventure. Just, you have a whole different thing that life can be from that point on. And Mitch Pike's on the same journey at the moment. Maybe I'm going to catch up with him today. Actually, he messaged me, wants to catch up. But he's in Africa at the moment, and he's doing his kind of rite of passage.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You know, explore the world and figure out who he is. And he's actually telling me, he's got some great new ideas and he's got some things that he's excited about. And yeah, it's going to be a special time, man. And I think it's a very courageous thing to do. I think it's a noble and it's a worthwhile thing to do. It's so easy just to follow on from one page to the next and just keep towing the party line kind of thing. But once you look around a little bit, then there's a whole other world of possibilities. So well done on making that call, and it's going to be great to see. Hopefully you're gonna have great times experiencing strength and nutrition on the road and meeting a lot of new people, and it's powerful times ahead. So thanks for jumping on, and look forward to doing this again in the future with a bit more journey under the belt.
Yeah, we'll see where it takes us, eh?
First podcast in the bag.
Yeah, done.
Wasn't too bad.
That was all right.
Good man.